Hey guys, Mash here. Today I'm going to be talking about foraging and why it was once one of the best skills in the game and now it's terrible. In my personal opinion, foraging was by far one of the most enjoyable skills to grind in the game. And a bit after I had hit foraging 50, as you can see over here, I found out that it became a really annoying skill to grind. So in this video, I'll be talking about why this became a thing and what you can do instead if you don't really like grinding it that much. But before we get into the video, please consider subscribing if you do enjoy my content. We're trying to hit 16,000 subscribers before the end of the year, so if you can do that, that would be awesome. And back to the video. So let's talk about what I know about foraging. So when I was foraging, the best axe you could get was a tree capitator, and all you could apply to it was the efficiency 5 and telekinesis 1, and that's the best axe you were going to get. And then you could get the best pet, which was ocelot. Legendary, epic, didn't really matter because they would give the same XP at level 100, and that was basically the best way to grind. Because I was in the foraging community and I was one of the first people to get foraging 50, I knew a lot about the tech, as you could say, of foraging, and there was two strategies. There was one strategy that was actually using young, which a lot of people still use, and the second strategy was using wise. So it was widely believed that young was the best, but from the #1 dark or oak player, he told me that wise was the best. So even though I was using young for a long time, I ended up switching to wise towards the end, as he told me it was better, and I did notice a significant difference. Then, when I was about to get foraging 50, I was about foraging 48-ish when this happened, but they released Pets v2, and this was with the release of the monkey pet, which is widely deemed as the best pet for foraging. And this is when I realized it was getting toxic. Even though I didn't have that much grinding left to do, I started seeing a lot of people start begging and saying, "That's my tree, so stop stealing my trees," and stuff like that. And I was getting a little bit confused because I never remembered this happening before. And the reason I mainly remembered it is because I really wanted to go and flex on them, and I remember really wanting to go and say, "Okay, yeah, it's your tree, but I deserve it because I'm foraging 49 and you're like foraging 5. But I never said it, but that's the main reason I actually remembered these people ever saying this. So here's my theory on what happened. Basically, I think with the introduction of the monkey pet, it did a few things. The first thing is that it stimulated and increased the amount of people who are actually grinding foraging. Foraging was not the slowest skill to grind, but not the fastest either way, and the strength bonus was good, but not the best. So it wasn't really grinded too much. I'd probably rank it at the time as the third most grinded skill, maybe even less, with combat being first and then farming being second. And I think here foraging was about third, but when this update came out, foraging went into the priority of a lot of players. This ended up causing an influx of players grinding foraging, which would obviously create a lot of people breaking trees, and then the whole stealing trees would come into fruition. But there is something that really extended this problem. So the second and final thing that really caused the decline of foraging as a grindable skill is the monkey pet. If you look at the monkey pet right here, you can see that its ability is reduce the cooldown of the jungle axe and tree capitator by 50%. The increased double drop rates for logs, that's fine, and everything else is basically fine. But that perk is really what breaks all of foraging. I think that basically what happened is now trees could be broken quicker than usual, basically 60% faster. And when I was foraging, it was already hard to get a good lobby, and you would be able to share a lobby pretty decently with maybe 2 or 3 people, and it wouldn't be the end of the world. If you had maybe 4 or 5, that's when it was not really worth grinding in, but 2 or 3 was definitely fine. But now, if everyone's grinding 60% faster than usual, that means one person is now taking this size, as you could say, or capacity of 1.6 people. So now, what used to be maybe 2 or 3 became only 2 people, and sometimes that would be too much. which ended up destroying foraging forever. The reason I say forever is because this final change kinda prompted one of the biggest things I hated about foraging: bots. When I was foraging, there were a few bots, but then at the very end, I did notice a lot more bots, and they're always doing jungle. I don't know why, but they always are. And if you've ever browsed r/Hypixel Skyblock, you'll see a bunch of posts of bots. They're not as common as before, but before I would be seeing like almost one a day because it was so common, and they were so blatant as well. They would be really low leveled, just have some random level 100 pet for foraging, either a monkey mostly or an ocelot, and they would just be grinding so blatantly, and these guys wouldn't be getting off leaderboards. I even asked once for Forager Jade, and he said that he was ranked like not even second, he was ranked like 5th or 10th, and I was like, what? He's so high in XP, how could anybody be higher than him? I knew one person was, but not that many people. And he ended up saying that most people were actually macroers, and there was like a good amount of macroers that were just above us in foraging, which was kind of insane. The final and more substantial test I wanted to do is show the difference in grinding with a monkey pet versus grinding with an ocelot pet. Even though the ocelot pet is seen as inferior, I'm showing you why for most people it's probably better to use ocelot pet. Quickly, before I do these, big thanks to Nuraz and Veggie Dinosaur because they let me borrow their tree cap from Veggie Dinosaur and their pets to do these tests, as I don't have them anymore since I sold them after finishing Foraging 50. So big thanks to them. Now let's get into the test. So first, grinding with the level 100 legendary monkey pet, I ended up getting about 40k XP from grinding for 5 minutes. If you multiply that by 12, so 4 times 12, that's a bit above around 480k an hour, or around 500k. Obviously, I'm not the best at grinding and I could have a better setup, so you could probably bump that up to about 500k or even 600k if you're good. Then I did it in the same lobby but with an ocelot, and in this ocelot instead I got about 50k XP, so that's about a 10k bonus. There's definitely one exception though, and that's in the jungle. In the jungle, it's so much better to use a monkey pet. It's definitely better. I remember grinding in the jungle before, and one of the biggest pet peeves I had about grinding in the jungle, even though I mainly grinded in it, other than for like the few past, like the last level, I actually grinded mainly in the jungle. And what I need to tell you is that using the monkey in the jungle is godlike. So to end off the video, let me give you a quick rundown of the progression of foraging in my opinion. So start off, you need a tree capitator. It's not even worth grinding at any point with a jungle axe. Just skip that, go straight to a tree capitator. After you get your tree capitator, you need to get either a young or Y set. I would recommend you getting a Y set because I feel that it's a lot better, but it doesn't really matter. It's more personal preference, but I'm pretty sure Ys might be better. But if you like running instead of teleporting, yeah, go and choose yourself a young set. Then after you've done that, the final thing you're going to need is the pets. This is where the progression starts. So start in the dark oak area and buy yourself an ocelot pet. This will be good because, as I mentioned at the beginning, the ocelot pet is really good in dark oak because there's a lot of competition. And once you get higher and higher foraging level, then you can start using your foraging money and use that to go and buy yourself a legendary monkey pet. After you get that to level 100, I would recommend you start grinding in the jungle because it's really useful there. And if you are ever able to stumble upon an empty dark oak lobby, it's godly in there and you're gonna get so much XP. So it's good to have one on you if you ever get one of those. And in all, that's basically what you need for foraging. And once you're able to do that, you'll be able to be as good as me and get foraging 50.